tonight, Bryan Turner is back to defend last week's win against two more private pilots. Right now on Prop Quiz. Welcome to Prop Quiz, the live game show for pilots who think they know it all. Last week, our just plain silly contestant Bryan Turner went home with our $500 cash prize after winning the game with 95 points. This week, he's back at it again to prove it wasn't a fluke as we put him up against two brand new contestants. The first pilot gunning to shoot Bryan down runs with the popular Fly with the Guys channel on YouTube, but more importantly, is Bryan's own friend, Carl Hancock. Who wants to take bets on, how long these friends keep the competition friendly? And the second man hoping to dethrone the reigning Mr. Turner is the most polite pilot we'll ever have on the show because he's originally from Canada. A self-described proud dad, husband, and family pilot, please welcome Devin Miller. The game is the same as always with 2 rounds of 15 questions. Like always, our winner's going to go home with our $500 cash prize and our runner-up will take home $200. Gentlemen, let's get started. Here's your first question. Regarding weight and balance calculations, what is the distance between the datum and a station called? Bryan.
The arm.
It is the arm, absolutely, and you are first on the board tonight with 10 points. Welcome back, Bryan. First question, and I already can't talk. That seems to be my forte. Bryan, how are you doing tonight?
I'm glad to be back.
Well, good. All right, Bryan. Let's go on with our next question. This man personifies what it means to be a bad dude. Flying in both World War II and Vietnam, he was a triple ace. What is his name? Devin.
That is who is Russell Still, and I'll take not being invited back for 300, please.
No, that is not correct, and then we will give you the not being invited back part, though. Anybody else? All right, if nobody is going to answer it, this one is going to be Robin Olds. Robin Olds. Oh, nope, sorry, Bryan, too late.
Well,
Too late.
I was going to say Robin Holds, whatever you said.
Yeah, it was whatever I said. All right, exactly. All right, in round numbers, how much does 1 gallon of avgas weigh? Devin.
6 pounds.
6 pounds is correct, oh Canada. 10 points to you. You are now tied with Bryan. Congratulations. Devin, welcome to Prop Quiz. Tell me a little bit about yourself. You are, like you said, a self-described family pilot. You love flying with your family. A lot of pilots' families don't really like to fly as much. How did you trick them to get in the plane with you?
So a lot of FBOs have ice cream, and once you unlock that secret, then it's all downhill from there.
Next question for you. How did we trick you to come to Texas and leave Canada?
So, yeah, you have a question on the bottom. So, my work sent me down here, but that's all right. We started our aviation journey down here as well, so we're making the most of it. We love the GA scene in the U.S. and we're taking full advantage of it. The people have been just amazing for us in the aviation community, and despite what Bryan says about most of us, it's a good group of people.
Well, good. Bryan, do you want to retort?
No, he's right.
Yeah.
All righty, well, I confused the studio crew by accidentally saying next question, which is their cue to throw up the next question. So let's actually see the next question now. In flight, which aircraft has the right of way? A hot air balloon or a glider? Carl.
I'm just going to go with the less maneuverable one and say hot air balloon.
It is hot air balloon. FAR 91.113, a balloon has the right of way over any other category of aircraft, largely because of exactly what you said. It is the less maneuverable of the two. Carl, good evening. Thank you for coming on tonight. First question I have for you, why in the world are you friends with Bryan?
Well, oddly enough, he started following me when I first got started on YouTube, continued to stalk me, and invited me over to his house this last February, and I actually went.
You actually went. And okay. All right, Brian, why are you friends with this guy? He actually accepted your invitation to come to a stalker's house.
That's right. That's how you know someone's a true friend, when they're willing to come to your house after you've stalked their YouTube channel for 2 years.
All right, gentlemen. Well, let's take a look at our scoreboard. We've got all three contestants on the board already, tied together with 10 points. Let's see who pulls out ahead. Your airplane is flying with a ground speed of 120 knots. How far is it going to take you? Or, I'm sorry, how far will it travel in 5 minutes? Ground speed of 120 knots. How far will you travel in 5 minutes? Carl.
10 miles?
It is 10 nautical miles, absolutely. Just like driving a car where 60 miles an hour is 1 mile a minute, 60 knots is 1 nautical mile per minute. So 120 knots means you're going 2 nautical miles a minute. So that gives you 10 nautical miles, absolutely. During a level 45-degree bank turn, how many G's will your passengers feel? Brian.
I think it's like 1.4.
It is 1.4. Absolutely. Follow up, will they get airsick?
Mine, yes.
All righty. Well, we've got Brian and Carl now pulling out ahead. Devin is still on the board with 10 points, doing well so far. Oftentimes, we don't have people even on the board yet. You're flying in formation with one other aircraft and request flight following to your destination. What does air traffic control consider you to be? Carl.
I'm going to say a flight of 2?
It is a flight of 2.
Transponder? There you go.
Absolutely. So if you're introducing yourself to them with a request, saying you're asking for flight following, you'd say 42742, flight of 2. Absolutely, flight of 2. All right, let's keep it moving. We're knocking these out. This show's not going to take long today. What was the name of Sky King's niece? Brian.
Penny.
It is Penny, yes. Absolutely. And finally, everybody knows all our Sky King questions. Brian and Carl, you guys are still neck and neck. I was prepared to make fun of anybody who didn't get that right, considering how many Sky King questions we've asked.
I have no idea who that is. The first time I saw
right
that picture was
ask the
today.
next question?
Oh, Brian and I are totally chatting too.
Yeah.
It's
Or
only
calling you when they
cheating
ask questions
if you
on the
call
phone.
out Alexa, like you said before we
Yeah.
read the question. Alrighty, a
Got my
Piper
Alexa right
Warrior.
here.
Alrighty, a Piper Warrior lacks a conventional elevator. What is the control surface called that controls pitch?
Stabilator?
It is a stabilator, absolutely. It's a stabilizer and elevator, all in one, or stabilator.
Nice.
The people who came up with that name were not very creative. He's known on YouTube as Flight Chops. What is the real name of this well-known Canadian pilot? Carl?
I named my plant after him. His name is Steve.
Steve what?
Oh, I don't know. Just Steve. That's the name of my plant.
Oh, you're going to kick yourself when you learn what this is, considering it's a plant. Brian?
I hope Carl's plant is a cactus because it is Steve Thorne.
It is Steve Thorne, absolutely.
Ooh.
However,
I live in
Devin, he's
Pure-
Canadian. What the heck?
My buzzer just keeps saying, please wait. I'm hitting it, and it's just not doing it. But we'll get there.
All right. You can refresh your buzzer if you need to. In a standard rate turn, how long will it take you to turn 180 degrees? Devin.
There we go. The whole refresh your buzzer thing. Where was that 4 questions ago? 2 minutes.
No. Ryan.
1 minute.
It is 1 minute. Yes, indeed. 2 minutes is for a full 360-degree turn. So cut that in half. It's just 1 minute for a 180-degree turn. In a 2006 film, passenger Samuel L. Jackson finds himself faced with a very unusual threat at 30,000 feet. What was the name of the movie?
Snakes
Carl.
on a plane.
It is Snakes on a Plane, which confused the ever-living crap out of me when I saw the list of questions for this episode, because everyone tries to tell me that the 1980s movie Airplane was a spoof of Snakes on a Plane. How could that be a spoof of Snakes on a Plane until
I've never even
Snakes on a
seen
Plane
Snakes
didn't
on a
come out
Plane.
until the early 2000s? Neither have I. Alrighty. What private company was the first to deliver 2 astronauts to the International Space Station? Brian.
Is it SpaceX?
It is SpaceX. Yes, indeed. Still neck and neck with Carl, you and Brian. We're seeing a lot of videos featuring backcountry operations these days. Many of these airplanes are STOL equipped. What does STOL stand for? Brian.
Short takeoff and landing.
It is short takeoff and landing, absolutely. Yes, indeed. Now, I'm going to say alrighty to introduce this next question, even though I well and clearly know I have a big sign on my desk that says I need to stop saying alrighty every question. You are inbound VFR to a Class D airport that has 2-mile visibility in haze. What clearance would allow you to enter the airspace? Carl.
I'm going to say two-way radio communication with the tower.
No. Devin.
Special VFR.
It is Special VFR or SVFR, absolutely. And that's the end of round 1 with Brian in the lead with 60 points. We'll see if he keeps his lead when we come back after the break. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Russ Still, and I'm your Chief Flight Instructor here at Gold Seal. Gold Seal is a comprehensive ground school covering everything from your FAA knowledge test to your final check ride. It's quite different from any other private pilot program. We mix exciting video with interactive segments and 3D animations. These may be in the airplane, in the hangar, or in a virtual 3D world. The result is a 21st century teaching machine that pulls you in and makes you a part of the experience. Now, one question that I frequently get is, what's the best way to save money during flight training? The answer to that is an absolute. Study at home. Before you go to a flight lesson with your flight instructor, study the ground school lesson really well. Not only will your CFI be impressed, he'll spend a lot less time trying to explain what you need to accomplish. And this means that you'll be paying him a lot less money. If you do your homework with Gold Seal, you will save cold, hard cash.
Pass your written test and your check ride with Gold Seal, the Internet's #1 ground school. Take a free test drive today and see how much fun learning to fly can be at onlinegroundschool.com.
Welcome back to Prop Quiz. Round 1 left Brian in the lead with 60 points again, Carl with 50, and Devin with 15. We're switching gears now to multiple choice, where our contestants are faced with 4 answer choices for each question and only 10 seconds to decide. So, Brian, let's see if you keep your lead. Here we go with round 2. High density altitude describes what? A, low temperature air, B, high density air, C, high pressure air, or D, low density air. All right, we're going to start our reveal with Carl. Carl, you said what? D, low density air. Absolutely correct. Giving you the first 10 points in round 2 today and tying you up with Brian. Let's see if it stays that way. Brian, you also answered D, low density air, giving you 5 points. You're still in your lead, just barely, with 65 points. And Devin, you said B, as in Bravo. I'm afraid not. Sorry, it was low density air.
I need to listen better. I need to listen.
Hey, that's a skill my mother will tell you I've never learned. Which of the following is not one of the 5 hazardous attitudes? A, anti-authority, B, resignation, C, complacency, or D, impulsivity? following is not one of the 5 hazardous attitudes. We're going to start with Carl. Carl, you said D. No, it's not D.
I was too impulsive.
That's all right. Let's eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Bryan, you also said D.
Carl
Of
told me
course,
to
we know
pick
you're
D.
impulsive. And Carl, what did you say? No, I'm sorry, Devin. You also said
We're all
D.
cheating off of Carl. There's a live Q&A right now.
No, it is not impulsivity. It is C, complacency. You guys have just gotten complacent thinking you can just cheat off Carl like that. Doesn't work
Nice
that way.
pun.
This stealthy airplane was a first of its kind to become operational in the U.S. Air Force. What was its designation? A, the F-111, B, the B-1, C, the B-2, or D, the F-117? All right, gentlemen, let's start with Carl. Carl, you said
No,
C.
stop it.
Nope. Let's see if anybody else cheated off you, Bryan. This time, Bryan said D, the
Learn my lesson.
F-117, which is absolutely correct. Bryan is indeed smarter than
I've moved over to
player,
start
and
cheating off Bryan.
Devin, you also said D, F-117. That is absolutely correct. Let's take a look at our scoreboard real quick here. Bryan still in the lead with 70 points. Carl just trailing behind with 60, and Devin on the board with 20. Let's continue on. Barry Seal, a former TWA pilot, smuggled guns, drugs, and money. It was dramatized in a 2017 action movie. What actor played Barry Seal? A, Tom Cruise, B, Ted Kaczynski, C, Josh Flowers, or D, someone I have no idea because it's off the end of my prompter. All right, who portrayed Barry Seal in 2017? Bryan, you said A, Tom Cruise. That is correct. Next, let's go to Carl. Carl, you said B. No, sir.
It's sad.
And, sorry, to Devin. Devin, you said B as well. Nope, it was
I thought Tom Cruise was only in Top Gun. I didn't know he did anything else.
Well, interestingly enough, he's going to star in the first movie actually filmed in space. He's part of a Paramount contract with SpaceX to actually go into space once Starship gets flying and actually film an actual movie on board. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Wow.
Let's go back to the special
pretty neat. I'm
VFR
excited for it.
questions.
You are operating from a runway that has a displaced threshold. Prior to the threshold are yellow chevrons. What can you do there? A, perform a run-up. B, nothing. C, land but not take off. Or D, you guys can make up the answer. Alrighty, we're going to start with Carl. Carl, you said D. Afraid not. I don't even know what D is, so I'm not going to tell you why it was wrong. Bryan, you also said D. No, sir. And lastly, Devin,
What
you
are we
said D
thinking
as
of
well.
then?
It is B, nothing, which is what you're
Because
thinking
they're
of.
white.
Ethan, you
not
can't
yellow,
see
they're
it. D
white.
was takeoff and taxi.
Ah, gotcha. Well, thank you for informing me. But nope, it was in fact nothing. You could do nothing on the yellow chevrons. Don't use it at all. Alrighty, our next question. Let's continue on. Unless stated differently in the POH or AFM, VREF is considered the correct approach speed on final. What is VREF? A, 1.3 VS1, B, 1.3 VSO, C, 1.4 VSO, or D, 1.4 VS1? For the love of everything, please do not try and ask me to read those answer choices 5 times fast. Bryan, you said B. That is absolutely correct, bringing you up to 90 points.
I'll take it.
Next, we're going to go over and take a look at Devin. Devin, you said B as well.
Telling you, copy off Bryan. It
Absolutely
works
correct.
out well.
1.3 VSO. Lastly, Carl, who is still clearly thinking on his own. Carl, A
I have
is
no
not the
idea.
right answer. Sorry, Carl. But thank you for not cheating off of anybody else. You're a stand-up guy.
Yeah, cheaters.
We appreciate integrity. All right,
That's what I made
credited
it.
with 80 kills, German pilot Manfred von Richthofen was the highest scoring ace in all of World War II. What was he popularly known as? A, the Butcher of Lyon, B, Mr. Natural, C, the Black Knight, or D, the Red Baron? All right, Carl, we're going to start with you. You said D, the Red Baron. Absolutely correct. Bringing you up to 70 points. Next, we're going to go over to Devin. Devin, you said D as well, the Red Baron. And lastly, are we going to clear the board? Brian, you said D, the Red Baron. Absolutely correct. And now, after the show's over, I want to go watch Snoopy.
Yeah. We were all
The
picking
wrong
D.
night to watch Snoopy. Who is credited with creating the first mass-produced helicopter? A, Igor Sikorsky, B, Igor Stravinsky, C, Uriah Heep, or D, Ignu Malmsteen? I'm going to get crucified after the show for this. It was Yngve Malmsteen. Sorry about that. And Carl, you started B. Oh, nope, I'm afraid
That's
not. You got the
not
Igor
what I meant
part
to
right. But
push.
wrong Igor. Brian, you said A,
I know.
Igor
I was trying to
Sikorsky.
get A.
All right, Brian, first contestant in this game tonight to reach 100 points. You get your special jingle. There you go, with your 3-digit points. And sorry about that, Carl. But
I love
Devin,
the
you also
special
said
jingle.
A, Igor Sikorsky.
Is there any
Absolutely
35-point jingles?
Nope. No 35 points. Sorry. Here, I'll give you a 35-point clap.
I'll take
No,
it.
you're
I'll
clapping
take
too
it.
much. Slow down.
That was only 4. I'm waiting for 35. 31 more.
Not birthday. All right. Who was the first pilot to fly the North American X-15? A, Ace Frehley, B, Scott Crossfield, C, Peter Capaldi, or D, Buzz Aldrin? All righty. Hoping we're going to clear the board again like we did a few minutes ago. Carl, you answered B, Scott Crossfield, which is the correct answer, the first pilot to fly the North American X-15. Brian, you also said B, Scott Crossfield. Yes, sir.
I can nod
Lastly,
when I
we go
see
over
it.
to... and Devin, you said C,
How do you even know this
Peter
stuff?
Capaldi.
It's multiple choice.
However, you know, it could have been Peter Capaldi. He is the Doctor after all. He has a TARDIS. Could have gone back in time and flown it the day before. Scott Crossfield. We don't know. So, could have been.
You lost me.
But no.
I don't know.
A Doctor Who reference. Sorry, I'm a big nerd. Alrighty, but no, it was
Brought
Scott
the wrong
Crossfield.
cheat sheet.
With respect to aircraft, which of the following is not a category? A, an ultralight, B, glider, C, lighter than air, or D, rotorcraft? Carl, you said A, ultralight, which is absolutely
Okay.
correct. You're up to 90 points. I have a feeling you're going to
Oh, it
break
was a
100
coin
and get
flip.
your
It
own
was
jingle
one or
too,
the
but
other.
Devin got it wrong. It was not C. Nope, not lighter than air.
Ultralights
And then
are
Brian,
lighter
you
than
said A, ultra. Not quite. Ultralight is the correct answer. Looking at our scoreboard, we got Brian on the board with 110 points. Carl close behind with 90, and Devin at 35. The 737 MAX airliner has been embroiled in controversy over the last year. What company manufactures this airplane? A, McDonnell Douglas, B, Lockheed Martin, C, Airbus, or D, Boeing? 737 MAX airliner. Who is manufacturing this plane? Carl,
There we
there
go.
you are with your own jingle and 100
Where's my
points. It
chime?
is D, Boeing. Devin, you also said D, Boeing as well.
One
And
time.
lastly-
One time I get it right. One time.
And Brian, you said we're going to clear the board. D, Boeing. We are absolutely correct. Congratulations to everybody. I can't speak. Getting that question correct. Although I guess technically in a way McDonnell Douglas would have been right since Boeing bought them. Still the same company. What airspace type, marked with concentric gray outlines, is shown on this sectional chart view? A, a restricted area, B, Class B, C, Class C, or D, a TURSA? Alrighty, what kind of airspace is depicted here? Devin, you said D. Stop hiding because you got it right.
Just felt pretty good.
And you're the first person to get it right, so you get all 10 points. You're now up to 50 points. Brian, you said D as well, a TURSA. Correct, bringing you up to 120 points. Lastly, Carl, you cleared the board for us again. D, TURSA.
Nice.
Absolutely. We're starting to wind down now. We don't have long left in this exciting game of Prop Quiz tonight. During your pre-flight inspection, you've noticed that the front nose gear strut is low. What gas is preferable to pump it back up? A, helium, B, nitrogen, C, oxygen, or D, laughing gas? Carl, you said B, nitrogen. You are correct. There's 115 points on the board with you. You are neck and neck with Brian tonight. Devin, you said B as well, nitrogen. Again, correct, bringing you up to 55 points. And I think we're going to clear the board again as Brian answered B, nitrogen as well. I know it probably wasn't an actual answer choice, but I was hoping it'd be laughing gas. I figured that'd be more fun. Playing with just your nose gear would be laughing at you the whole flight.
That's in the FBO beside the ice cream.
Perfect on Brian's channel.
There we go. I'll write it down.
you bring it to your AME and he's like, what the heck is laughing? Walking all around the plane. A friend asks what the white trails are behind high-flying aircraft. And you're a smart guy. What do you tell him? A, carbon dioxide, B, water vapor, C, chemtrails, or D, smoke? Alrighty. What are those white trails, or what do you tell them anyway? Carl, you said B, water vapor. That is absolutely correct. It is water vapor. Brian, you also said B, water vapor. And lastly, Devin, what did you answer? You said C.
I tell them that it's chemtrails. I carry them in my arrow. It's a valve I have. I figured at 55 points, I can go with chemtrails.
You're not even from our country, and you're helping our government gas everybody. Man, I see how it is. This pesky
Unless you
chemtrails.
have your
Also, I'd
protective
like to
hat
point
on, I
out-
got you.
I'd like to point out Brian's laughing landing gear would go perfect with his screaming stall warning horn.
There we go. That's right, my ghost dog.
The screaming goats. Ah! I made the mistake. I saw that video for the first time like 3 days ago, and I was sitting in this room drinking a Coke, and I took a sip of Coke at exactly the wrong moment, and I was choking for like 30 seconds. That goat screamed. I about lost it.
I
Alrighty.
apologize.
Alrighty. Here's our last question, guys. This is it. During World War II, the Thunderbolt was one of the leading frontline fighters. What was its designation? A, the P-47, B, the A-10, C, the P-40, or D, the F-4U? All right. What was the designation of the Thunderbolt? Carl, you said C.
I don't know.
Sir.
No.
Afraid not. No, sir.
I know it's
Brian,
not two
you
of
said
those, so I know
A.
which one it is now.
P47.
Yes.
Nope, it is the P47, however, bringing Brian to 155 points. And lastly, Devin, you said, is that 135?
The P-47
Devin, A.
had the heaviest chemtrail tank out of all of them.
Well, all those chemtrails have, taken away my vision. And I need
So
new
close, though.
contacts. So I'm having just as much trouble reading as I am speaking tonight. Absolutely. Well, guys, that was the last question of this game, meaning Brian, 135
close.
points. Again, you are the winner of tonight's episode of Prop Quiz. Congratulations, Brian. Again, Carl and Devin, thank you so much for playing. And thank you for watching at home. Our next episode is going to be August 25th. You won't want to miss it. I'm Ethan Berg. We'll see you then.